Let me guess. You already know what to do. You've read the books, watched the videos, made the plans. You know how to be productive, how to eat healthy, how to stick to a routine, how to change your life. You know what time to wake up. You've set the alarms. You've downloaded the habit tracker. You've even imagined the version of yourself that's finally figured it all out. And yet, you don't do it. You don't wake up on time. You skip the workout. You reach for the junk food. You scroll instead of studying. You hit snooze on the habits that are supposed to build your future. And afterward, you feel that all too familiar shame creeping in. You beat yourself up for not doing the very thing you said you would. Again. So, what's happening here? Are you just lazy, unmotivated, broken? Number. You're human, and you're stuck in a pattern that most people never learn how to break: the gap between knowing and doing. Here's the truth: information doesn't equal transformation. Knowledge doesn't automatically create action. If it did, everyone with a self help library would be thriving, and no one would ever procrastinate again. But that's not how the mind works, because doing the thing, the hard, consistent, uncomfortable thing, requires more than knowing what to do. It requires facing why you're not doing it. Sometimes it's fear: the fear of failure, or worse, the fear of success. Because success would mean you actually have to keep going, stay disciplined, take responsibility. Sometimes it's perfectionism. You don't want to start unless it's the perfect time, in the perfect way, with the perfect energy. So you wait, and wait, and wait. Sometimes it's shame. You've failed so many times before that you don't even trust yourself to try again. You hesitate not because you don't want change, but because you don't believe you can change. And sometimes it's just habit. Your brain is wired for comfort, not growth. So when faced with the choice between what's familiar and what's difficult, it takes the easier road, even if it leads nowhere. But here's the good news: this cycle isn't permanent. You're not doomed to stay stuck. You can change, not by downloading another productivity app, but by understanding how to outsmart your own resistance. Start by lowering the bar. No, seriously, your goals are too big. Not in vision, but in execution. You keep trying to overhaul your whole life in one go, but real change is built on small wins. If you can't write a full chapter, write a sentence. If you can't run a mile, put on your shoes and walk around the block. Shrink the task until it's impossible to fail. That's how momentum begins, not with a bang, but with a whisper. Next, stop relying on motivation. It's unreliable, it comes and goes. Instead, rely on systems. Make the decision once and remove the friction. Want to drink more water? Leave a glass by your bed. Want to study more? Block distracting apps before you need willpower. Make good choices easy. Make bad choices hard. Also, forgive yourself. The guilt isn't helping. You're not lazy. You're tired. You're overwhelmed. You're carrying invisible weights no one sees. Speak to yourself the way you would to a struggling friend, with understanding, not judgment, because shame doesn't fuel change. Compassion does. And finally, act before you're ready. You don't need more clarity. You don't need more confidence. Those things come after you start, not before. Action is the cure. Every time you show up, even imperfectly, you're teaching your brain, we do this now. That's how identity shifts. That's how momentum builds. That's how you close the gap between knowing and doing. One small, unglamorous, uncomfortable step at a time. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I know what to do, I just don't do it, don't ask what's wrong with you. Ask what's stopping you. Then do something, anything, to move. Not because you feel like it, not because it's easy, but because the version of you who has the life you want, they show up even when it's hard. And today, that version can begin with you. Let's be honest for a second. You already know what to do, don't you? You've read the posts, watched the videos, Maybe even saved a few quotes that made you nod your head like, yeah, that's it. But when it comes time to actually do the thing, you don't. And I'm not here to judge you. I get it, really, because I've been there too, standing in that weird gap between knowing what I need to do and not doing it. And maybe right now, you're stuck in that gap. You keep telling yourself, tomorrow I'll start. Next week I'll be different. You keep making plans, setting alarms, writing goals. But when the moment comes, you scroll, you snooze, you hide, and then comes the guilt. The voice in your head that whispers, what's wrong with me? But here's the truth, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're just stuck in a cycle that so many of us fall into, where fear, perfectionism, shame, or just old habits keep winning the battle. But it doesn't have to stay that way, because the version of you who does the hard things, who shows up consistently, who breaks the cycle, they're not some fantasy version of you in the future. They're already in you, right now. And they don't wait for motivation. They don't wait to feel ready. They take one small step, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one's watching, even when it's not perfect. So the question isn't, why can't I do it? The real question is, am I ready to stop waiting for the perfect moment and just begin? Because the life you want, it doesn't wait. And maybe, just maybe, it starts today with you.